Welcome back to Catch It, a New Perception. My name is Ketuk. Thinking about how I've seen people who have been in long-term relationships with a significant other. I remember last week speaking to a guy. He and his wife were celebrating 59 years of marriage. I have a lot of respect for that. The fact that someone can find a partner in life to move through life with. A friend of mine who had just recently returned to the spirit world. I was possibly a little closer to her husband, actually. He returned to the spirit world a couple years ago. And they had over 50 years of marriage together. And I believe that there was something about these relationships that seems to be able to work through generations. So they have the beginning of the relationship, maybe have some kids, raise those kids, maybe some grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Different generations. They make through all of it. They've both made some poor decisions in their relationship. They've both probably done things that they wish they could have done different, or maybe not had done at all. And they endure through it. One thing that I believe is a common thread in long-term relationships, and I use a significant other as the basis for this. It has to do with any type of friendship, I believe, any type of relationship we have with someone else. It needs to be mutually beneficial. Is your relationship with a grandparent or a grandchild mutually beneficial? Or your relationship with your significant other mutually beneficial? Can you create something that's mutually beneficial so you can hold on to that relationship in a good way? I've seen people walk away from grandparents. I've seen people walk away from spouses. I've seen siblings walk away from each other. Obviously, those relationships are not mutually beneficial. So, if you have a relationship that you would like to be able to continue, can you figure out how it is that you can help make it mutually beneficial? You may have to change your thinking about certain things. You may have to take different actions with certain things. And if you create a relationship which is mutually beneficial, chances are it will work for a long time. I think of a relationship with my grandson, the love I have for him, and the respect I have for him. I'm not sure how it's mutually beneficial today. I see it from my point of view. I think he gets something out of it. I think that he maybe even respects me. I believe he loves me. I respect him. And as often as I can, I tell him I love him. I use this as an example because it's a relationship very much different than something with my wife, for example. I do believe that my wife and I have a mutually beneficial relationship. I was speaking to someone about this recently, and they kind of doubled back and they're like, what terminology did you use? I said, mutually beneficial relationship. And it is. With my wife and I I think it's because we bring different things to the table. As I've talked about before, a 50-50 relationship means that I will give 100%. And I will give 100%. And I will give 100%. And I do that with a friend, a child, a grandchild, a parent, a spouse, my wife, whoever it is that's in my life. If I'm willing to just give them 100%, the day I need something, they're there for me. That's a mutually beneficial relationship. From a young grandson, it might be a hug, a kiss on the cheek, a kiss on the forehead. To be able to show someone respect, to be able to feel the dignity that someone else offers. Are your relationships mutually beneficial? If not, do you want to continue them? If you don't want to continue them, are you willing to get out? Or are you willing to be in relationships with people that are not mutually beneficial? Or are you ready to make them mutually beneficial? And it's not just by you giving. When you receive from others, I believe that they feel good about that. When they can give what it is they have to give. The gifts in life are interesting because what one gives and you're able to receive, you may gift them something different. There may be love in that exchange. There may be compassion in that exchange. There may be certain things that are similar. And on the other hand, they may be very different. One person may be more financially responsible, so they help with that side of it within a relationship of spouses or significant others. And someone else might be more emotionally balanced and they offer what they can there. Someone else can think through a problem and so they offer what they can there. And it's mutually beneficial in the sense of bringing something totally different to the table than what someone else does. And it's mutually beneficial in the sense that you can bring the exact same thing to the table that someone else does. If you're in relationships that are healthy, that are good, that make you feel good, that make you stand tall, allow you to be able to stand up straight with clean hands and straight eyes, makes you want to be more in the sense of being healthy, like this is good and I want more of it. Makes you feel good about who you are and what you're doing. And you offer that same thing back to them. So you allow them to feel good about who they are, how they walk, how they show up. You allow them to feel good about the words that they offer, the gifts that they give through terminology, through love, through compassion. Are you compassionate with other people? Do you need to be more compassionate with other people? Would that make your relationships more beneficial, more mutually beneficial, if you were able to show more compassion? Or is it something that you want to step back from? Are you going to make a decision that because the relationship is not mutually beneficial and you've done everything that you can towards it, that you need to step away from it? Maybe it's time to take care of yourself and realize that you can give and give and give. And when you never receive anything, it's not a mutually beneficial relationship. Or if all you do is take emotionally, financially, mentally, spiritually, all you do is take from a relationship, you should prepare yourself that that relationship may not be there if you take it for granted. And maybe you don't care. Maybe it doesn't matter to you. Maybe you think you'll find other friends, you'll find another relationship that works. Well, if you've been through multiple relationships and none of them have worked, there is one common thread there. That would be you. So for me, what I've found is that when I change me, I have a chance to be able to change my relationships. When I change my way of thinking, when I take a different action, I have the ability to be in mutually beneficial relationships in my life. With my mother, with my siblings, with my children, my wife, my grandchildren, my friends, my tioshpai. I believe that they are mutually beneficial relationships. I sit in some sacred circles and I think of one of the fire keepers and what he gives. And I believe that what he gives is the gift he has to offer. And he just does for everyone the way he knows how to do it. And it's a mutually beneficial relationship because he receives by giving, by showing up early, by lighting that fire, by being part of. When he shows up early, he's part of because everyone sees him when they show up. He's already there. Show up early to whatever it is, and you will feel like you are part of. It will be a more mutually beneficial relationship when you show up early. Show up in a good way. Carry a good heart. Be a good relative. I say those because those things mean something to me. Use whatever terminology makes sense to you. If the terminology mutually beneficial relationship doesn't make sense, use terminology and carry it in a way that it does make sense. If someone says that you carry a good heart and you don't like that terminology, change it to terminology that makes sense to you. If someone says you're a good relative and you don't care for that terminology, use different terminology so it makes sense to you. One of my mentors, I really appreciate how he would always say, actually 2 different men, both would comment in the same energy. One of them says, I like the term friend, because it meant something to him. And the other one says, kola means friend. And to him it was the same thing. It really meant something to be a friend. I was in a mutually beneficial relationship with both of those men, so I appreciate it. Looking forward to next time. Live in harmony with and use the bounty of the land to bring kindness to the world.